Very good morning to everyone. So today I'll be doing the Hindu analysis of 21st of October, and I've shared the screen with you all. So so the first thing that I'm going to discuss with you right now is that PM flags off country's first regional rapid transit system, and that is known as your Namo Bharat. Okay, so our very honorable Prime Minister has flagged off the country's first regional rapid transit system on Friday, calling it the Namo Bharat train, a glimpse of India's promising future. And now, what you need to know about this rapid regional rapid transit system is that what is the speed with which this transit system will be operating, and which are the places, which are the cities that this transit system will be covering. So the Prime Minister took a ride with the school children on the 17-kilometer stretch in the regions of Uttar Pradesh. The full 82-kilometer Delhi Ghaziabad Meerut corridor is scheduled to be functional by 2025. So what you need to cover over here is that the regional rapid transit system is a new rail-based semi-high-speed, high-frequency commuter transit system with a design speed of 180 kilometer. So here what you need to know about is, just a minute. Okay. So what you need to know about is that the regional rapid transit system is carrying a semi-high speed, it is having a high frequency commuter transit system with a design speed of 180 kilometers per hour. So you need to write this down or you need to note it. It is a semi high speed new railway system, high frequency commuter transit system. And what is the design speed of this commuter train? The design speed is 180 kilometer per hour. Now, how will this be operating altogether? So it is a regional development initiative. So it is a regional development initiative. And when it's a regional development initiative, that means that this would be operating within the region that is connecting the cities. Um, Other than that, it will be providing what? High speed trains for intercity commuting. So if you see, cities are getting connected, and that is why they are saying intercity commuting. And what is the time period? It would be every 15 minutes. And it is expected that this should be risen to every 5 minutes. Now, what is the altogether cost of development? So the development cost is more than rupees 30,000 crores. And what will the train do? That the train will help the commuters to travel between the regions of Delhi and Meerut. Just a minute. Okay. Delhi and Meerut. And how much time is it going to take place? Less than an hour. So what is happening is that there is a total of 8 RRTS, that is your National Rapid Transit System Corridor. So RRTS. And this is for defining what, or the development of what? The national capital region. Right? And if you see the regions that they are saying is that which regions they will be targeting. So here is the region, a total of 8 RRTS corridors have been identified for the development in the National Capital Region. The 3 RRTS corridors have been prioritized for implementation in the first phase. And what are those? First phase is your Delhi Ghaziabad Meerut, Delhi Gurugram SNB Alwar, and Delhi to Panipat. So these are your 3 phases. Okay, officials in the Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry said the rapid transit system being developed in the country is a state of art of regional mobility solution comparable to the best in the world. So, what they are trying to achieve through this regional rapid transit system is that there will be more intensity and connectivity, and of course, the time taken is this. Fine. So, this is your RRTS. Now let's move on to the next article. Okay, did not violate diplomatic norms, India tells Canada. Uh, Now what you are going to see here is that how is altogether the system operating over the Canada issue between India and Canada. So here we are going to talk about the India-Canada ties and the frosty ties. Okay. So India did not violate the Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations by asking 41 Canadian diplomats to be repatriated. The Ministry of External Affairs asserted on Friday in response to the Canadian Foreign Minister, who had accused India of violating diplomatic norms by seeking a reduction in the number of Canadian diplomats posted in India. The Canadian Foreign Minister had earlier announced that due to the reduced number of officials, Canada was forced to stop in-person services at its consulates in Chandigarh, Mumbai, and Bangalore region. Such services will now be available only in the High Commission in Delhi. We have been engaged with the Canadian side on this over the last months in order to work out the details and modalities of the implementation. Our action is implementing this parity are fully consistent. Now, what is happening is accusing the Canadian government of maintaining a much higher diplomats in India. The mayor said that the reduction was necessitated by the Canada's continued interference in India's internal affairs. So, what is happening is that the Ministry of External Affairs, that means our ministry is telling, or our ministry is of the opinion that there has been a continuous interference from the Canadian side onto the internal affairs of our country, and that is probably the reason why why our country is demanding for reduction in the Canadian diplomats in the region of India. So we reject any attempt to portray the implementation of parity as a violation of international norms. So they are saying that we have, or we are saying that we haven't violated the Vienna Convention, and hence we have not violated any international norms. Fine. Now, what would probably be the issue. A source further informed that the India's decision to seek parity was not sudden and was conveyed to Canada around a month back, with the deadline of October 10 being extended till October 20, subsequently in consultation with the Canadian side. Now, what is there in page number 8? Now, in the page number 8, we are talking about the frosty ties. So, in all of this process, the one who are the sufferers are your ordinary people. So, ordinary people will suffer as India and Canada cut down visa service. So, India and Canada are headed for an even frostier season in ties after the Ministry of External Affairs' latest move to pare down the number of Canadian diplomats in India from 62 to 21. While New Delhi has made it demand to equalize the numbers in each other's mission known last month, what is the Canadian government doing? So the Canadian government has allegations, or the government's allegation towards India is that India had a role in killing of Canadian national and a Khalistani activist. Matters were thought to have cooled down. It had even hoped that quiet diplomacy was at the work to repair ties. However, Canada continues to hold without proffering any further proof that India must cooperate in its investigation against unnamed Indian officials. While India is standing by measures it has taken in reprisal, so what is happening is that the government suspended visas. That means the Indian government has suspended the visas for all Canadians and demanded the downsizing of Canadian diplomatic strength. This week, India issued an ultimatum for the removal of two-thirds of those numbers with a deadline till October 31, after which India would unilaterally withdraw diplomatic immunity. As a result, Canadian Foreign Minister uh, flew out 41 of its diplomats and their families, calling India's demand a violation of international law, including the Vienna Convention. The MIA has retorted that the convention, Article 11.1, does authorize India to require that the size of a mission be kept within the limit. That means uh, what has MIA came with its proof. That means Ministry of External Affairs has said that India can issue this notice. Why? In case if the limits are breached. So to require that the size of the mission be kept within the limits, Canada has also conveyed that with staffing shortages now, consulate in-person visa services would no longer be provided. The Canadian Immigration Minister has added that India's move would not deter Canada's prosecution in the Niger case. Now, the development indicates that if there had been any diplomatic efforts to diffuse the situations in the past, they have been fruitless. Apart from the government and the National Security Advisors meeting that had discussed the Niger case, External Affairs Minister had reportedly met Canadian Foreign Minister on the sideline of the UN General Assembly. So none of those appears to have turned the trajectory of the event. Attempts by Canada's Five Eyes allies to mediate have not worked either. While the allies have supported the Canada's claim, they have also shored up their ties with India with possible visits by the British, US, and Australia leaders that will assure New Delhi. With diplomatic options exhausted for now, it is hoped a period of reflection will bring fresh counsels on how to bring the low ground. Then students, tourists, and business persons will suffer. So all in all, if you see what is happening is it had been, hoped that the quiet diplomacy was to work at the repair ties. However, Canada, was proffering any further proof that India must cooperate with its investigation against the unnamed officials that who has been referred to, who was associated with this, uh, who has been associated with this investigation regarding illegal matters concerning the Canadian diplomats. So if you see, all in all, what they want to say is that Canada and India ties are facing a lot of tussle, and meanwhile, who are going to face the issue? It is the business persons, the students, and the people who are visiting the country are the one who are the sufferers in this ties. Okay, so this was about India Canada ties. Let us see what else they have talked about. Okay. Okay, so one is here, did not violate diplomatic norms. So a unilateral revocation of diplomatic privileges and immunities is contrary to international laws, including the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. This action taken by India is completely unreasonable and escalatory. India accredited each and every one of the Canadian diplomats they are now expelling. Immigrations, refugees, and citizenship, Canada will continue to accept and process applications from India. However, certain application requirements will never be completed locally or on site in a secure environment. As a result, a reduction in the size of IRCC, that is your Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada team, will affect service standards for residents of India. Why? Because they have called on for reducing the diplomats from the Canadian side, and this is what Canada government is also saying, that now they are actually justifying it, that if when you are reducing the Canadian diplomats, what is going to happen? That these are the services that are going to get affected. An Indian source has claimed that reduction in the number of Canadian diplomats in India, in fact, did not impact the staff requirement in the Canadian consulates in Bangalore, Chandigarh, and Mumbai, saying the Canadian decision to cease operations of their three consulates is unilateral and not related to the implementation of parity. That means they are saying that the decision is very unilateral, and it is not something that is based on the parity between the two countries. Fine. Now let's move on to the next one. We have covered the frosty ties. We have covered the uh, regional rapid transit systems. Now let's move on to the next article. Okay, Mehrauli Park structure. Now Mehrauli Park structure get facelift as Delhi digs deeper into its history. Okay. Rupees 2.6 crore project to restore and conserve 55 monuments at Mehrauli. Archaeological Park was started in March, and what has the ministers talked about? So they said that the park historically significant and a gift to Delhi's people. So unveiling of the historic structure that has been restored at the park in Delhi. Fine. So major restoration and conservation works have been done at Mehrauli Archaeological Park so that Delhi residents have a place to explore the capital's rich history and enjoy their time. The revamping of the historic structure and the monuments at the park in South Delhi in the presence of the Minister of State. Now, why or how, what relevance or what importance does this carries? So they say that spread over 200 acres, Mehrauli Archaeological Park is adjacent to Qutub Minar, a UNESCO's World Heritage Site. It is home to 55 historic structures built by various empires, that is, including the Khiljis, Tughlaqs, Lodhis, Mughals, and the British, and many have now been revamped. So they are saying that it is a home to 55 historic structures. Now, these include your Jamali Kamali Mosque, Met Calpe House, Rajan Ki Boli, as well as the tombs of Mamluk King Ghiyasuddin Balban and Mughal Governor Shah Quli Khan. What has the minister said? That the idea is to bring alive Delhi's rich past that predates the medieval era monument. So what they are saying is that Delhi's rich past has been restored. The park has a rich history. Many knows Delhi's history only from the 14th, 15th century, but the city has a lot more to tell. The history has been built on repeatedly, which is why we have presented one piece of it today. The work was started in March by many agencies led by the DDA and the ASI, that is your Archaeological Survey of India, at a cost of around 2.6 crores. Now, in addition to the structures being restored, water bodies in the parks have been desilted and the pathways have been created to connect the monument. The restoration and the repair work was carried out using traditional methods and techniques. The officials said that the principles of the master plan for Delhi and the unified building bylaws 2016, which promote the adaptive reuse of historic building, were applied during the redevelopment of the work. That means the bylaws have kind of promoted just a minute. The reuse of historic buildings. In the 6-7 months this place has been transformed, the people of Delhi deserve good places where they can spend leisure time with their families. Now, he added that other heritage sites are also being considered for redevelopment, and one park where work is underway would be opened. Now, the Lieutenant Governor also said that any structure built illegally near the park will be removed. Following the directions of the Delhi High Court, the Delhi Development Authority has launched a concerted drive to clear the encroachment in the areas. So, Mehrauli Park becomes important for you. Why? Because it is being restored in order to restore the past of the country. So, based on that, that is important, and that will help in what increasing the footfall of the country, increasing the footfall in the regions of Mehrauli Park. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the new one. Okay, so not just a case about improving investigation. Now, this is a very important article. What is this article talking about? The Supreme Court of India recently in Rajesh and ANR versus State of Madhya Pradesh. What has the Supreme Court of India said? So, while setting aside the conviction of three accused persons alleged to have been involved in murder and related offense, emphasized the need to devise a consistent and dependable code of investigation so that guilty do not walk free on technicalities. The court not only pointed out some illegalities in the investigation but also echoed the comments of the Justice Malimat Committee on Reforms of the Criminal Justice System and observation of the Law Commission of India in its report number 239. Here is a reality check on both these observations. That means the two agencies, or you can say the two investigation references have been targeted. And what are those? One is your Malimat Committee, and another one is your Law Commission of India. So both have been talking about bringing reforms in reforms in your just a minute, it has time. Okay, bringing reforms in criminal justice system. Fine. Okay, now move on to the next one. What they are saying. What is the author saying? A major footfall pointed out by the court relates to Section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act, which lays down the condition of admissibility of any fact discovered in consequence of the information received from a person accused of any offense in the custody of the police officer. The court held that the person could not be said to be in police custody till he was formally arrested, as he did not figure as an accused person in the first information report, that is FIR, and was not accused of any offense till his arrest. This assumption does not appear to be a correct proposition of the law. Now, what is the court saying? That the person could not be said to be in the police custody. Why? Because till he has formally arrested, as he did not figure as an accused person. Now, see, there are FIRs, there are reports that have been, reported in the police station. But if he is not being formally addressed, or if he is not being formally, convicted of an offense, till then we can't count that the person could be said to be in police custody. Now, what they are saying is that in D. Man Singh, 1959, the court held that the word custody does not necessarily mean detention or confinement. The submission to the custody by any action or words is also custody within the meaning of this section. Even indirect control over the movement of suspects by the police have been held to constitute police custody. So, what is this judgment talking about? Now, the next one is your Chote Lal versus State of UP 1954 judgment. And many other similar cases, the court has held that an accused is in police custody within the meaning of the section when he is under surveillance of the police and cannot break away from the company of the police. Now, this is what this judgment is talking about: police custody. The Court of State of UP versus Dioman Upadhyay 1960 held that the expression accused of any offense is descriptive of the person against whom evidence relating to information alleged to be given by him can be proved by this section. So in Muhammad Dastagiri versus State, the top court held that it is not necessary that when a statement is made by a person, he should be an accused. That it is enough if he is an accused person when it is sought to be proven in the court These could be cases where the discovery of incriminating articles based on information revealed by the suspect could be the first piece of evidence, thereby necessitating arrest. Therefore, custody under Section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act does not necessarily mean formal arrest by the police. That means under Indian Evidence Act, Section 27, what does it say? It does not necessarily mean formal arrest of the or formal arrest by the. Similarly, the court laid too much emphasis on seeking compliance under Section 104. Just a minute. Section 104 and Section 105 of the CRPC. Relating to the presence of independent witnesses during search and seizure of a closed place in the discovery memos, such as discovery and seizure of the body of the deceased and his clothes and the weapons of the murder. Now, in the Mushir Khan at the Basha Khan and ANR versus State of MP 2010, the court held that if the discovery under Protection 27 of the Indian Evidence Act is otherwise reliable, its evidentiary value is not diluted just by the reason of non-compliance of Section 104 or Section 105 of the CRPC. The reason is that Section 100 deals with the processes initiated to compel the production of things on a search, whereas the very basis of facts deposed by an accused in custody is voluntary and pursuant to the discovery taking place. They operate in entirely different situations. Now, the author is saying that under this case, uh, the facts that have been disposed or deposed by an accused in custody is voluntary and pursuant to discovery taking place. That means from here onwards, all the investigations taking place become evident. They operate in entirely different situations. Therefore, the safeguards in search proceedings based on compulsion cannot be read into discovery on the basis of facts voluntarily deposed. Similarly, views were expressed by the top courts in state, that is National Capital Territory of Delhi versus Sunil in 2001 also. So, in fact, such panchnamas are prepared by the police as a rule of caution and not in compliance of any mandatory provision by law. Now, separation of investigation by highlighting experts from the Justice Malimat Committee report and the Law Commission report. The court expressed regret that the standard of police investigation is still poor. So, one thing what the court has said, taking in reference your conditions with respect to the Malimat Committee report, they are saying that the full standard of police investigation is very low. One judgment that court has passed is that the standard of police investigation is very low. The next thing they said is that the principal cause of a low rate of conviction is because the police investigation is not to the point. So that is the reason why the conviction rate is also fine. Inter alia included inept and unscientific investigation by the police. There is no doubt that the quality of the investigation needs to improve and that police should use the best available scientific tools for the investigation. So what has the court said? That firstly, the investigation is very poor, and secondly, the court said that the police investigation should be carried out using scientific tools. And if scientific tools are being carried out, or if scientific tools are used for investigation, what is going to happen is there will be more reliability on the data. Other than reliability, what they are talking about is that if reliability is there, there is more speedy investigation that is going to happen. And if speedy investigation is possible, this would eventually bring in what? The conviction rate will improve. However, the court also needs to review the reform that have taken place in the police in pursuance of the recommendation made by various commissions and committees. On the subject of investigation, the Malimat committee has recommended that investigation wing should be separate from that of law and order wing. So they are of the opinion that the court has said, or the court is of the opinion that the law and order wing should be separate with your investigation wing. That means you have an investigation wing and you have a law and order wing. Though this separation may not prove to be panacea for improving investigation in its totality, the effort made by state must be reviewed before blaming the police in whole for irregularities. The Law Commission report number 239, which was submitted on the directions of the court, Virendra Kumar Ohri versus Union of India and others, pertain to the suggestion made with regard to the expeditious investigation and trial of criminal cases against the influential public personalities. Now, with regard to investigation, the commission observed that the police stations are understaffed. So, the court was of the opinion that okay, it might be possibility that even if we separate this law and order wing and the investigation wing, so then also there couldn't be that kind of judgment which we are just wondering about. It couldn't be achieved in that way. However, there are certain possibilities that could happen, but then also there are certain issues which are still lying, and those issues are, firstly, they said that the police stations are understaffed. Secondly, they say that sufficient priority is not given for investigation of crime and that there is no periodic exercise to upgrade the skills of investigation. So there should be periodic exercise so periodic exercise just okay. Periodic exercise to upgrade the skill for investigation. The commission is not only mentioned, the commission has not only mentioned in its own 154th report, which recommended what separation of investigation from the law and order duties, but also reiterated the directions of the top court, which was given in Prakash Singh versus Union of India case. That means this thing was given, or this was recommended in Prakash Singh versus Union of India case. Prakash Singh was the former Director General of Police in Uttar Pradesh, and the former Director General of the Border Security Force has reviewed and recommendations of all the previous commissions and committees. Out of a total of 7 directives by the court, one pertained to separation of investigation from law and order to ensure quicker investigation, better expertise, improved rapport with the people. This separation was to be taken up first in the town and urban areas with a population of 10 lakhs or more and gradually extended to the smaller town. So, what has the Prakash Singh, or what is their recommendation coming? So these were the former DGP of UP and the former DGP of Director General of Border Security Force, that is BSF. They reviewed the recommendation and they were of the opinion what firstly they said that there should be separation of the wings, and separation of wings between who? The law and order and the investigation wing. And second, they said that quicker investigation should be there. So quicker investigation. The next thing they said that there should be improved rapport. That means improved communication with people. And the fourth thing they said that the implementation of this thing, that separation of wing of investigation and law and order, should start initially from the place where the population is of 10 lakh and more. So town and urban areas. With a population of 10 lakh and more. And once it is implemented over here, what is going to happen is that from here onwards, it should get, or should be restored in the smaller town or areas. Now, what are the state responses for the same? Summing up the responses of the state government, Mr. Singh writes the book of the struggle for police reforms in India. 17 states may have taken measures to separate the investigative and the law and order functions of the police. The remaining states are not opposed to this directive, but have yet to initiate necessary steps for separation. When it came to overall compliance of the 7 directives, the 9 states fell under good and satisfactory category, and 20 states in average and poor category. However, going into the details of the response, one could decipher that most states have either made some provisions in their state police act or have issued administrative orders. That means certain states have made changes in the state police act, or they have made changes in the administrative system. The police authorities are, however, aware that unless additional manpower is sanctioned, except in major cities such as Delhi and Mumbai, it is practically difficult to separate the two wings because of lack of manpower. Separate staff for investigation have not been provided for. The book says about the Madhya Pradesh, where the directive of designing a code of investigation was given by the court. Now, it is difficult to believe that a code of investigation does not exist in the states. These are also revised from time to time, and the Supreme Court instruction included wherever required. However, the investigating officers are not only inadequate in numbers but are also unable to upgrade their skills. Now, the one issue that the editorial is pointing out is upgradation of skills of the police officers. Only symptomatic treatments of police reforms by having some provisions in the rules and the regulations will not help much. The Supreme Court needs to step forward and ask every state and union territory to report compliance of its directives on investigation and other issues in letter and spirit. Similarly, these must be consistency in its ruling unless earlier judgments are clearly overruled for cognate reasons. So if you see, the editorial is demanding that, or the author is demanding that there need to be a change or reform that required, or the reform is required in your criminal justice system. And this reform in criminal justice system would help in what? Improving the law and order condition of the country. Law and order condition in country. Fine. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so Gaganyaan mission ISRO is set for first test flight today. The ISRO on October 21 will conduct the Gaganyaan's first flight test vehicle abort mission 1, which will demonstrate the performance of the crew escape system. Now, the space mission is going to take place from the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Harikota. According to ISRO, the test vehicle developed for this abort mission is a single-stage liquid rocket. The payload consists of crew model, crew escape system with their fast-acting solid motors along with CM pairing and the interface adapter. The CM is where the astronauts and are contained in a pressurized Earth-like atmospheric condition during the Gaganyaan mission. This flight will simulate the abort condition during the ascent trajectory corresponding to a Mach number of 1.2 encountered in the Gaganyaan mission. Now, what is happening? The CS with the CM will be separated from the test vehicle at an altitude of about 17 kilometers. Subsequently, the abort sequence will be executed autonomously, commencing with the separation of CEs and the deployment of series of parachutes, finally culminating in the safe touchdown of CM in the sea about 10 kilometers from the coast of sea. Now, the entire duration of the flight from lift off to CES and CM separation to deployment of parachutes and touchdown of the crew model in the sea about 10 kilometers from the coast of Sri Harikota will be completed in about 8.5 minutes. The ISRO said that the Indian Navy will lead the recovery of TVD-1, that is your test vehicle abort mission 1, CM after touchdown. So recovery ships positioned at a safe range in sea water will approach the CM and a team of divers will attach a bow, hoist the CM using a ship crane and bring it to the shore. The objective of this mission is flight demonstration, evaluation of test vehicle subsystem, evaluation of CS, including various separation system and CM characteristic and deceleration system demonstration at higher altitude and its recovery. Simply put, the objective of the mission is to check the safety of the CES for its capability to take the same to safety in case of an emergency that will require ISRO to abort the mission. The Gaganyaan mission, what is the Gaganyaan mission aiming for? So it aims to demonstrate the capability to launch human beings to low Earth orbit and bring them back safely to Earth by landing them either at the Bay of Bengal region or the Arabian Sea region. Now, prior to the first crewed vehicle, uh, the first crewed flight, three test vehicles flights have been planned: TV1, TV2, and TV3. Saturday will be the first flight, and the beginning of the next year, one more unnamed flight will carry the humanoid that is Vyom Mitra. Okay, let's move on to the next one. OTT services, government reach uneasy compromise on smoking warnings. Over-the-top streaming services such as Netflix, Disney Hotstar, Amazon Prime Video reached an uneasy compromise with the center on adding smoking warnings to their content. According to the minutes of meeting with the industry obtained, a review of smoking warnings on different platforms. Some streaming services such as Hotstar have included video and on-screen warnings for even older films, while others, such as Netflix, have chosen less inclusive message cautioning views against tobacco consumptions at the top left of the screen at the beginning of the content with the smoking scene. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare notified the cigarettes and the other tobacco products prohibition of advertisement and regulation of trade and commerce production supply and distribution amendment rules 2023, which required streaming services showing tobacco consumption in the middle of each film or episode to display a warning at the beginning on the top of the text scrolls of each shot containing smoke. No other country has required filmmakers and TV series makers to interrupt own content this way, and the health ministry was aware of this according to the file notice that was assessed. Now, at the meeting, what has the deputy director of Tata Memorial Hospital argued was strong measures to curb tobacco consumption. So OTT services then pleaded for relaxation in rules and timelines to comply. Now, additional secretary has resisted the entreaty, saying that the rules should be implemented regardless of the difficulties. So they have asked for easing of the norms and the norms the difficulties regarding the difficulty of interrupting the content in your OTT platform. Fine. Okay. Okay. So missed opportunities. Why? Um, you can have a read onto this article uh, for just general knowledge purpose. Now, the politics of caste census, its impact on secularism. Now, this is it could be, you just can have a good go through. Now, according to scholars who work on Indian poverty, there are two kinds of poverty. One is economic poverty, and other one is your institutional poverty. Caste plays a pivotal role in perpetuating of institutional poverty because historically it determines occupation and skills. In the modern Indian economy, most occupations are network driven, in which caste plays decisive role in driving those networks, which is why a caste census is vital. Now, what is happening is by not recognizing that caste has a bred poverty, what is the author trying to say? That the government is turning a blind eye to deeply painful reality of Indian society. So the author is of the opinion that caste plays a very important role in perpetuating your institutional poverty. Now, explaining the rights reluctance, however, the reason. Now, what are the reasons? According to them, caste census is because it believes to be opening up Pandora's box of claims and counterclaims relating to the position and power. Now, utilizing the politics of religious polarization, there is a striking distance of fulfilling the political dreams by majoritarian unity. On the other hand, there is a secular political groups which are aware of the divisive potential of caste census. Now, looking at caste-based politics, it was argued that caste identities would help in secularization of the Indian polity. Now, what else? They are saying that it is a gamble from the point of view of resurrection of secularism in India. It might contain the pace of the politics, which is not ultimate outcome that might lead to establishment of a majoritarian political culture or simply or similar variant of state. Now they are saying that this would bring what majoritarian political culture. The last time that a caste census was carried, when organized right groups were marginal players during India's freedom movement were there. After independence, there was a possibility for a caste census to be resumed in 1951. It is plausible that in non-resumption of the caste census in 1951, the right might have played a crucial role because what is happening is the right was deeply embedded in secular political formations, particularly in certain parties. Now, what is the author saying? That the right groups might have played their part at the time in the concerted resistance to India's secular project. The present day resistance only echoes the same old reasoning but is much louder in volume and more organized. That means what they are saying is that caste based politics is played so as to have a majoritarian support for political reasons. Fine. So this much was for today. Thank you so much. I shall see you on Monday.